Say thank you to everyone who made it out tonight. We'll be talking about the MRA program for Los Alamos. Before we get going, I just want to thank Jacqueline from Los Alamos Main Street. I think your organization was sort of the driving force behind a lot of this work. And you guys worked, you're the ones who brought on, I believe it was Decker who did the
White Rock. They did the first
White
one.
White Rock, and then Populous, really talented group. Bell helped us with the East Downtown Los Alamos MRA that was just adopted within the last few weeks, I believe. I think the end of September or early October. I can't remember which. So, anyways, now we'll talk about next steps a little bit at the end of the presentation. But tonight we're doing a Q&A. The feedback we get tonight will go into our work to finalize both the MRA handbook and the application. And we hope to have those out later this month. We'll go into it again towards the end of the application. And then, we will open up the application period early next year after the holidays when we're fully staffed and operating again first week of January. That's when we'll start taking in applications. And the reason we're doing it this way is it gives folks, a couple weeks to review the application, see what would be necessary to apply. We're available for questions in that interim period, and just really help folks get ready to submit a complete application when the application period opens. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Danielle. She'll do some introductions and we'll get into the presentation. So thanks, everybody.
Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Valdez. I am the planning manager for community development, and we have been working very diligently on this program. So we are working out any issues that we are finding with questions or information lagging. So if there's something that you see, please ask us. That way we can get that clarified. Because if you have that question, chances are someone else is curious about that as well. Someone else needs clarification. So please, ask questions. We may not have the answer for you, but we can get the answer for you. So welcome to our Q&A session. I'm not sure where to point yet, so. All right. As I mentioned, I'm Danielle Valdez. I'm the planning manager for community development. Miss Anita Barella is in the back, and she is our economic development program manager. And this is Mr. Eli Isaacson, and he is our director of community development. So the Metropolitan Redevelopment Area, what this is. So the Metropolitan Redevelopment Area is a program that was established under the New Mexico Metropolitan Redevelopment Code, 1978, 360A1 through 48. The program enables local governments to identify and revitalize areas where deterioration, underutilization, or blight conditions hinder economic and community development. The Los Alamos County MRA program operates under the state authority and is guided by two adopted plans, the White Rock Town Center and the East Downtown Los Alamos plans. So these plans provide the policy framework for encouraging private reinvestment, improving public infrastructure, and advancing redevelopment projects in these areas, and then stimulating the county's economic vitality. So what does an MRA do? An MRA is a revitalization tool. It's a state program, and it helps the county, it helps us be able to partner with private developers, private property owners, and businesses. It's to revitalize blighted areas and underused areas within a defined boundary. It incentivizes investment, it encourages redevelopment and reinvestment by both the county and private sector, and it is voluntary participation. You don't need to opt out, but you don't need to participate as well. It is all voluntary participation. A little bit of background, how the MRA in Los Alamos was started. The Los Alamos County MRA program began as a county initiative along with Main Street. It's to strengthen the downtown areas and encourage reinvestment, and then support outside consultants with the support of outside consultants and the county council. The county council established two districts, the White Rock Town Center and the East Downtown Los Alamos. This helps guide revitalization, attract investment, and foster public-private partnerships. Adoption history, White Rock Town Center MRA was adopted. The resolution was adopted in 2021. This is for the boundary. The plan adoption was adopted in 2022. The East Downtown Los Alamos MRA, hello. Oh, how are you? Are you guys listening to public utilities?
Yeah, we go.
I don't care about this. Don't raise my electric bill.
Yeah.
My bill.
So the East Downtown Los Alamos MRA, the boundary designation was adopted in May, and our plan resolution was adopted in September. I may have that backwards. It might be the plan and the boundary, but either way, these were all adopted, and we are, as Eli mentioned, we're getting ready to roll out the program. Los Alamos County MRAs, did I go over this one? This one, I'm gonna turn it over to Anita now.
Show me how the laser
So
pointer.
laser pointer is the little guy at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
And then you switch slides with bottom, with down.
Down, okay. I'm Anita Barella, Economic Development Program Manager. And I'm gonna explain the boundaries of the MRAs, but Los Alamos County MRAs are, the program seeks to advance the following key aspects of downtown development. And these are strategic goals within County Council. So the economic vitality, which means attracting private investment, placemaking and urban design, which will enhance downtown centers, public places and overall sense of place, and housing and mixed-use development, which will encourage a range of housing options integrated with commercial and civic uses. The infrastructure and connectivity, improving multimodal access, streetscapes, public utilities to support redevelopment. Public-private partnerships, leveraging county resources, and private investment for shared community benefit. So the boundary areas are, I'm gonna start over here. This is where White Rock Town Center, this is State Road 4, it's south of State Road 4. This is where Pig and Fig is, that little shopping center next to it. Here is the White Rock Shopping Center in this area. And then it's the Speedway, this is Del Norte Credit Union, the Comcast building, and then that daycare center, the Dragonfly daycare center. Right here is the old bank, Enterprise Bank, used to be LA&B, and then it comes up Longview, and it circumvents the Village Place area. And then down here is south of Longview. This is where the right now it's empty. There's going to be some development there. Here is the post office right in the corner here. This is the storage area. And then this is the old Smiths, or it's the Smiths in White Rock. And let me tell you what the White Rock Town Center MRA addresses blight and underutilized properties within the town center. Commercial core by promoting reinvestment that enhances community character, expands housing and service options, and strengthens the area's overall economic vitality. So the MRA has identified some priority areas in White Rock. There's the Longview Drive, which there are some goals that are specifically for that area, which is higher density mixed-use redevelopment, facade improvement and streetscape enhancements, pedestrian connectivity, and increased town center activity. And then on Rover, that area that I showed you earlier, they would like to see more neighborhood connectivity, neighborhoods serving retail and services, enhanced multimodal safety and access. And around the Bonnie View area, residential quality improvements, light remediation, and compatible infill housing to meet local needs. And I'm going to talk about the East Downtown Los Alamos. So the area here is, it's 820 Trinity Drive. This is where the DMV is. It goes up Central, so it goes around Iris Street area, the roundabout. This is where the empty lot is now, where the Knights of Columbus building used to be. The 99 DP Road and 101 DP Road is here. This is the retention pond down here. This is the 6th Street And there's a, engineering corporation there. And then south, a little bit is south of Trinity, and it ends back up here in this corner.
If you guys don't mind, can we pause to just make sure that no one's on Zoom and get the Zoom meeting
Do we have
recorded?
this in?
We do, it's on the press release.
Oh, okay.
I don't wanna navigate your computer on something.
I'm sorry.
Let's go into the press release. Juan, can you shoot that email really quickly, just so we have quick access to it?
Yeah.
Well, the press release.
Oh, okay. This one to me.
I just sent it. It's looking for a host, so I don't know who's in.
Yeah, I don't know who set it up.
Join.
Yeah, see, I'd have to host it. Hold on. Let me see if she set it up with them. Should I start?
Yeah, start it
Oh,
on
there's
here.
people.
Hit record.
Oh, 3 people. 4 people. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that wasn't.
Might be fun to start presentation over, just so that way.
You got it.
Oh, it's gonna blur, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna admit.
Can you share your,
Share the presentation.
Infections, low blood sugar, or rare life-threatening bacterial infection.
Can I turn-
around the anus and genitals.
Can
Talk to Dr. right away.
I listen to this?
Pain, tenderness, swelling.
I don't have to
itches,
move.
genital area. No use if allergic to jargon. Stop use if you have a serious reaction. Call your doctor if you have rash.
Yeah, I actually wanted to bring it to it.
I had to, is it a? Is this it right there? No, this is it. Okay, should we go back a little bit?
start at the beginning and then if you could do a sound check with somebody online, just to make sure they can hear you.
They can hear us.
Make sure our mic is on.
Yeah, it's on. And who is?
Manesh, can you let us know if you can hear us?
Lauren
Says she can hear you.
Lauren can hear us. Okay,
Okay.
perfect. Awesome.
We can hear.
Thank you, Lauren.
We can hear. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we're gonna start at the beginning. Hope you all don't mind. Don't sigh.
Okay, let Lisa in. There's another one waiting to get
There's
in.
another.
is there somebody else?
Can we just admit to, is there a way we can admit everyone?
We have to do it before
You guys are prophetic.
Let's see.
Participants.
Yeah.
Stop share.
Let's see.
Yep. All right. Thank you for those of us who joined online. Apologies, we had some miscommunication with our Zoom. Welcome to the Metropolitan Redevelopment Area question and answer session. My name is Danielle Valdez. I am the Planning Manager for Community Development Department. And as I previously mentioned to our audience here in person, that we are rolling out this program. This is, we've been working diligently on it, so please ask your questions as they come up. Chances are, if you have this question, someone else does as well, and we would like to work out all of the issues and all of the questions prior to rolling out the program. So, as I mentioned, my name is Danielle Valdez. I am the planning manager here with Community Development. Behind me is Anita Barella. She is our Economic Development Program Manager. And then here we have Mr. Eli Isaacson, and he is our Community Development Director. So our Metropolitan Redevelopment Area, what is this? So Metropolitan Redevelopment Area is a program established under the New Mexico Metropolitan Redevelopment Code, NMSA 1978, Section 360A1 through 48. The program enables local governments to identify and revitalize areas where deterioration, underutilization, or blight conditions hinder economic and community development. The Los Alamos County MRA program operates under the state authority and is guided by two adopted plans, the White Rock Town Center MRA and the East Downtown Los Alamos MRA plan. These plans provide the policy framework for encouraging private reinvestment, improving public infrastructure, and advancing redevelopment projects that align with the county's economic vitality and community development goals. So what does an MRA do? The MRA is a revitalization tool. It's a state program that helps revitalize blighted areas, underused areas within a defined boundary. We have, it enables the county to provide, to partner with private developers, property owners, and businesses. It incentivizes investment, encourages redevelopment and reinvestment by both county and private sector, and it's a voluntary participation. So you don't need to opt out of it, you don't need to participate at all. There is nothing you need to do for this MRA boundary. So background, how the Los Alamos MRA started. So the Los Alamos County MRA program began as a county and Main Street initiative. It's to strengthen the downtown areas and encourage reinvestment. With support from outside consultants, the county council established two districts, White Rock Town Center and East Downtown Los Alamos, to guide revitalization, attract investment, and foster public-private partnerships. Our adoption history, we have the White Rock Town Center with resolutions adopted in 2021 and 2022, and then the East Downtown Los Alamos with resolutions adopted in 2024 and 2025. So I'm going to turn it over to Miss Anita Barella, and she will discuss the rest of this program with you. Portion, the next few slides.
Yeah. So the Los Alamos County MRA program seeks to advance the following key aspects of downtown redevelopment. They're in line with County Council's strategic goals. Economic vitality, which will provide, attract private investment, supporting local businesses and stimulating job creation. Placemaking and urban design, enhancing downtown character, public spaces, and overall sense of place. Housing and mixed-use development, which encourages a range of housing options integrated with commercial and civic uses. Infrastructure and connectivity, which improves multimodal access. Streetscapes, public utilities to support redevelopment. And the public-private partnerships, which leverage county resources and private investment for shared community benefit. The White Rock Town Center boundaries are starting here where you might be familiar, it's south of State Road 4. This is Pig and Fig. This is the little shopping center next door. This is the old McDonald's building. And there's some storage area over here. White Rock Shopping Center, Speedway, Del Norte Credit Union, Comcast building. This is the Dragonfly daycare center, and this is the old LAB, it's Enterprise Bank now. And then you come up Longview, it circumvents where Village Place is, and then there's some other apartments here. These are going to be redeveloped here because they've already gotten their entitlements from planning and zoning. And here's some storage units, and this is more storage units. Post office in White Rock, and then back up to Smith's in Pig and Fig. The White Rock Town Center, MRA addresses blight and underutilized properties within the town center. Commercial core by promoting investment that enhances community character, expands housing and service options. It strengthens the area's overall economic vitality. And there are some ideas that have, areas that have been targeted, we call it target redevelopment areas, and they've been identified as Longview Drive, higher density mixed-use redevelopment, facade and streetscape enhancements, pedestrian connectivity, and increased town center activity. And then there's an area around Rover, which is that area by Del Norte Credit Union down to the daycare center, which they'd like to see more improvement neighborhood connectivity, neighborhood serving retail and services, and enhanced multimodal safety and access. And then the Bonneview area, which has some businesses there, but they might want to do some residential quality improvements, blight remediation, and compatible infill housing to meet local needs. This is the area in White Rock in Los Alamos. Sorry, East Downtown. So it starts at 820 Trinity Drive, goes up, this is where the TB building is. There's some apartments here. This is Iris. There's the roundabout, come down Trinity. This is where the old Knights of Columbus building was. Here's 99 DP Road, 101 DP Road, retention pond. This is the, there's an engineering firm that's here and down below Trinity, and then it goes back up to 820. And the East Downtown area supports revitalization and reinvestment within the Central Avenue and Trinity Drive corridors. The plan focuses on strengthening downtown identity, improving walkability, connectivity, expanding housing options, and supporting a mix of commercial and civic uses. So the plan prioritizes things differently than the White Rock one does. There are no specific areas, like White Rock has identified specific portions that they would like to see revitalized, but this, it takes place in all of the boundary area for East Downtown Los Alamos. So we'd like to see mixed-use redevelopment, which will encourage infill and redevelopment that combines housing and retail and office use. Placemaking and urban design, enhancing the streetscape, lighting, and gathering spaces to create a more walkable, attractive, and connected downtown. Housing diversity, which would support workforce, we hope, and mixed income housing options. And walking distances of employment, transit, and amenities. Mobility and access, improve infrastructure, crossing and connectivity, economic vitality, strengthen the local economy by attracting private investment and supporting downtown, serving businesses and services. So I'd like to turn it over to Eli now. So we're gonna talk about eligibility.
Yeah, thanks, Anita.
Next steps.
Thanks for advancing the slide. So, not all projects within the MRA boundaries are automatically eligible for county participation. And so here are some of the things that need to be met in order for the county to provide financial support to a project. First, it needs to be within the MRA boundary, either in East Downtown Los Alamos or White Rock Town Center. The project needs to align with the goals and objectives of that area's plan. And also needs to be supported by other adopted county plans, whether it's the the Los Alamos Downtown Plan, the White Rock Downtown Plan, or any of our other sort of planning and land use related documents. The project needs to provide a public benefit, it needs to be measurable, and it needs to address some of the things that MRAs are designed to deal with, such as blight remediation, creating housing opportunities, or for advancing our economic goals around job creation and other GRT activities. We need to submit a complete application. That is necessary for us to do our review and evaluation of the project. The project needs to be financially feasible. It also needs to demonstrate a level of project readiness. The MRA support from the county is intended to sort of augment private investment. It needs to be compliant with regulatory framework, whether it's zoning, environmental, other building code requirements. The applicant needs to be in good standing, no outstanding tax or financial obligations. Excuse me. The evaluation process, the county has an evaluation committee that will review the MRA applications based off of the following criteria. Some of the things I talked about previously: alignment with the MRA plan, the catalytic and economic impact of the project, project feasibility and readiness, the level of private versus public investment, and then the justification for public investment is really about that community benefit that we talked about. The evaluation committee is comprised of county staff, those of us from community development are in the room, along with the county manager's office, the county attorney's office, and our finance department. And it's important to note that each project is subject to review and approval by the county council. So all the evaluation committee is doing is recommending projects to the county council, and we'll be looking at each of these projects on a case-by-case basis. So here's an overview of the MRA process. Begins with the submission of an application and staff's completeness review. We will do our completeness review within 10 days of receiving an application. We'll get back to applicants with any requests for additional information. We can't really do the review until we have a complete application. Once that complete application is submitted, the review committee will evaluate the application within 30 days. And then projects that meet the criteria will be recommended to council, as I mentioned. Along the way, we'll have to begin drafting a development agreement. That is a document that talks about the terms of the project, the terms of the county's financial support, and also any sort of timelines and basis of distribution of funds, whether it's reimbursement or otherwise. This is a step in the process that may take some time. As you know, when lawyers get involved with things, it can be somewhat, it can be a longer process. But once that draft development agreement is in place, we can then take the proposal to county council for consideration and approval. That's a two-step process. These will be done as ordinances, and so ordinances must be first introduced, and then at a subsequent meeting, they're heard for approval and adoption. There is an appeal period associated with these ordinances, and so once the appeal period is exhausted, we will execute the development agreement that was worked through earlier in the process. That document will formalize the scope of the project, the funding amounts, and the terms of that funding. And then once the project's complete, we can close it out and we'll have a wonderful project here in our community. So next steps, I alluded to a little of this in my opening comments, but we are working on finalizing both the MRA handbook as well as the MRA application. Feedback we received tonight will sort of feed into our completing those two documents. We hope to have those done within the next few weeks, so late November of this year. And then the county will start accepting completed applications when we return from the holidays, the first week of January. And we hope that, potential applicants will use that month or so to look over the application, get an understanding of the types of materials we'll be looking for. Feel free to ask us any questions. Our contact info is on the next slide. And from there, we can work together to get an application in and reviewed and hopefully in front of our council soon. And so here is our contact info. You can find the MRA plans at the address there. The QR code will take you to our website. You can shoot any questions to us via email. The email address on the screen, sending it there, make sure it gets to Danielle, Anita, and myself, so it won't sit in any one person's inbox if they're out of the office for a period of time. That is our main line, that'll get you into the CD office. And so we're very available, happy to help, welcome any questions. You know, we're here to take questions for about another hour this evening. But if you think of anything, you know, in the next few days, next few weeks, like to ping us, we're happy to help. So with that, I will turn it over to questions. If folks online could use the raised hand feature, I think we'll know, we'll be able to see those on the screen. And maybe we can start off with folks in the room. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Councilor Herman.
So the review committee is going to be 4 people that are,
Not necessarily 4 people.
Okay.
It may be, depending on the project, we may have to pull in various staff. But it will generally consist of folks from my department and CDD, members of the county administrator's office, members of the county attorney's office, and then we'll be pulling in folks from finance. And there's, you know, different people in, say, finance have different specialties, different availability. So we may pull different folks in at different stages of the review process to get these evaluated, but it will consistently consist of folks from those departments.
thank you.
Yeah, Michelle.
So, I really find this incredibly disappointing. Because what you're saying is that there's no opportunity for citizens to actually have input here. I mean, in other counties, in Santa Fe and Farmington and Clovis, there's an MRA commission. There's citizen-led boards that are appointed by the county council, and they all have expertise in different areas. You have small business representation, and these commissions are open to the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. So open meetings, transparency, public get to have input. This situation, you're saying it's county-led. Is there any opportunity for the public to truly have input, 1? And 2, are you gonna do this behind closed doors so public never gets to see what's going on? I think that's inappropriate. So I think this is very, very disappointing that you're gonna forget the MRA commission. You're gonna forget public having real input. You're gonna forget having small businesses represented in this process. And you're just gonna have these closed meetings with county staff, and you're gonna present your recommendations to the council. And probably the council is gonna rubber stamp what you want, because that's always what happens. So it's all very disappointing and disheartening, Eli. I mean, I have to say, as a small business owner who's about to be directly impacted by this MRA, the plans that Columbus Capital has for Merrimack, for you to leave out the small business community, for you to leave out public input is extremely disappointing.
Okay, well, I appreciate the comments. I might offer up a slightly different perspective on the process. So as you know, as Danielle covered, or as Anita covered in her slides, there was a public process both around the establishment of the boundary as well as the adoption of the plan.
Which public got ignored in that? All the public comments got
I can't speak
ignored.
to, unfortunately, I was not here for the White Rock process, but I was here for the Los Alamos process. And I remember pretty clearly an opportunity for members of the public to make comment at the adoption hearing. I believe you yourself made comments.
I was there, and
Yeah.
and most everyone opposed the boundaries, and the boundaries got passed
Yeah.
anyway,
Well,
so the
okay.
public.
I can't speak to that, so
it's just
I
very-
just wanna highlight, if you don't mind, if I could just respond. I do wanna highlight there was public participation in the establishment of both the boundaries and the plans for both districts. And then, during the hearing, you may recall during the hearing for the East Downtown Los Alamos MRA plan, the question of will the county create an additional commission to hear these applications, or will the county council hear these? And the decision was made in that hearing that the county council will act as the MRA commission. And I think there was good reasons presented at that meeting why the creation of an additional commission may not be a good fit for our community. And so, you know, the sort of the participation that you're talking about that would occur in front of the commission will still occur. However, in Los Alamos, that public participation process happens at the 2 public hearings at county council. And so local business community, local property owners, community members at large will have ample opportunity to participate in the approval and ultimate decision made by council on whether or not the proposed project is a sound project and opportunity for county participation. And so, you know, I can understand the perceived frustration and the perceived lack of engagement. However, I think, you know, an alternative perspective may be that that same participation is happening just in a slightly different setting.
Well, in other counties like Santa Fe, there's a citizen-led commission that reviews the applications. And so that's significant because you have people that represent the small business community.
Actually, I just looked it up and it says the commission is, what's that?
There's not.
Yeah, it's, planning commission, let's see, includes 2 members from each city council district and 1 at-large member.
Which is the mayor. So, you know, they're doing it in a similar fashion as well.
So, well, no, the MRA commission in Santa Fe is citizen-led. It's their members that are appointed by,
Well, we're looking at, while we're sort
Well,
of
I'm saying-
researching that, maybe we can open it up.
I'm
to
just
some
saying
other-
that it's just very disappointing that you don't have a citizen-led board that reviews the applications, and now it's gonna be the county that reviews the applications behind closed doors with no citizen input, no transparency. That's just really terrible.
Okay, are there any other questions in the room where we can jump online? Laura, I notice you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Laura Loy from Casa de Luz Apartments in the East Downtown area. How will we know when the applications are available? And will the staff be able to work together with businesses so that we can understand as we you know, put together our applications, whether it's, you know, something that is fully aligned with the intent of the program?
Do you want me to take that?
Absolutely. So we will be issuing a press release when the application and handbook are available. Again, we're sort of targeting, you know, within the next few weeks to have those available to folks. And then to your second question, absolutely. So staff is fully available to assist applicants in navigating both the application itself and the application process. And so we intend, you know, we expect, I should say, that folks may not be able to fully complete the application on their own or at the first try, and so we're available to assist however we need to help folks get a complete application submitted to the county.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Chris?
This report that's attached here is from 2019, 6-year-old report, and I was just reviewing it, and there's significant things that have changed in the area.
And which report is that?
It's the White Rock MRA,
Designation report.
Oh, okay.
It would seem that it would be prudent to at least get a review of what has changed in the area, because there are significant things that have changed.
And just so I can follow, the changes in the area would.
There's more utilization of commercial structures down there than this report indicates, right?
So would we want to remove them from the boundary?
No, I'm not arguing that, I'm just saying that it seems it would be, I mean, even if staff could go in and say, okay, here's an addendum to this 6-year-old report that reflects current conditions, might be prudent.
So, just so I'm clear, the report was used to inform the plan, correct?
That's what
Yeah, and so, I mean, it's a great comment, I appreciate that. I guess my question back to you would be, how would the sort of, you know, increased utilization of commercial square footage within the town center district change our plan goals and objectives?
I mean, the only thing I could see that it might do is change the boundaries, because
Oh, I see.
the things that I'm looking at here are on the periphery, right? And it may be, I don't know, this is why I'm asking the question. You know, is it prudent to revisit the boundaries you have, since a lot of this development or a lot of the commercial utilization is now on the edge of this MRA, make it do a boundary adjustment?
So there is, I mean, amending the boundaries is a possibility. There's obviously a process for that. And that would not be a process that we would be able to do administratively within the development department per se. So, that would have to be a public process that would, an amended boundary, would have to go again to county council, to adopt that change. And then we'd have to look to see that those properties that we are looking to sort of absorb into the MRA in this instance or exclude. But I think the scenario you're describing is about sort of expanding the boundary to
It's actually
capture.
reverse, it's reducing it, but.
Oh, reducing it,
doesn't
okay,
matter. My
doesn't
point
matter.
is,
But
I
we'd
don't-
have-
I don't, this report doesn't reflect reality on the ground.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, will it change things? I don't know, 'cause
Yeah, I mean, it's worth taking a look at. I mean, again, I think that the motivation for changing the boundary would be if sort of use of those commercial buildings sort of materially changed our goals or objectives for the overall district. And if we didn't see that being the case, then I think there would be less motivation for changing the boundary. So anyways, it's worth taking a look at. But I think, you know, initially, we'd probably want to proceed with the boundaries as they are and see the successfulness of the program before we explore it.
And that may be perfectly appropriate, I'm just saying, just having something that says, hey, we reviewed this in 2025, here's the changes, and it doesn't materially affect anything. Because right now I'm looking at this and, man, you passed something recently based on 6-year-old data.
So we didn't pass that one recently. So that one was passed in 2022.
No.
So at the time that the plan was adopted, it was, that report was far more current, so, yeah. So, good point, though, I appreciate the comment.
I was gonna add a little bit to what Chris is saying. I think one of the benefits is when these groups are working on the MRA plans, there's precedent in other communities for the same kind of thing to have happened where obviously stuff evolves and maybe priorities could shift or whatever. But they try to identify key areas where they know that they see that this would be catalytic based on the goals in mind. So if the goals in mind are modality or transit or, you know, something like that, then you know the key sites that are off major routes are gonna be key. Even if one part gets developed but another doesn't ever quite meet that. So I think that's what's kind of nice. It seems like you guys are putting together a handbook that's gonna call out all of those attributes, recognizing that you're saying the plan was done a while ago, but it was more or that report was done a while ago, more to establish the boundaries, and now it's the key components of the plan that are the most important going forward, right?
I think so, and I would just tack on to that by saying, like, I mean, I think, you know, at the county, we're certainly, you know, plan to sort of regularly reevaluate the MRA as a program and, you know, in an effort to make it as useful and successful as possible, to sort of achieve the goals that we've identified as being critical in these areas. So in that spirit, I mean, if there are sort of underlying assumptions that need to be reexamined or boundaries that need to be reexamined, I mean, we can certainly take those on, you know, if and when that becomes, you know, something. So I think, you know, this is a program that will, you know, evolve over time, just like all of our other processes and efforts.
But that said, you also don't wanna, you know, punish any property owner or business owner who's already made improvements.
No.
To say, oh, well, now you're no longer eligible.
Well, no, but there's still eligibility criteria that they have to meet. So even if they are within that boundary, they still have to provide all of that information as far as the justification to meet that eligibility requirement through the criteria, so.
And another thing that's interesting about MRA is, you know, it's stackable with other things like LEDA and other programs that we have. And so, you know, there are still tools at our disposal for property owners that may be adjacent to the boundary or even, you know, nowhere near the boundary. You know, there's other tools that we have at our disposal to help property owners, you know, help achieve, you know, the economic development that we're looking for. So, you know, this isn't the only tool but it's one that sort of complements some of the things we're.
I have another question. So, Columbus Capital is meeting with county staff behind closed doors. And they're asking for, let's say, 50 million to do their Merrimack redevelopment. They're asking for this. They love this MRA and they want these funds. So I'm kind of unclear on the bond is there a bond election that would have to occur if the county doesn't have 50 million to give them for the MRA?
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
I'm really confused about the bond situation, because the bond, that language was presented at the tax increase meeting. And so I was unclear on how the bond fits into the MRA funds, and is there an election that where citizens would have to vote on that?
So I can get back to you on the specifics on that. I don't have.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I can answer some of that. So,
Okay, yeah, thank you.
So
I
the
just was-
bonds that were discussed primarily during the GRT discussions were mainly focused around broadband was the biggest piece of that.
Okay.
So being able to bond $35 million to be able to build broadband.
Okay.
And then there was also talk about another 40 million. However, that is money specifically that's been identified for capital improvement projects. So those projects, not MRA, not LEDA.
Not MRA.
I'm talking about projects like fire stations.
Okay.
Streets, infrastructure.
Exactly, yeah, roadway, CIP type projects. So
So
they're.
that had nothing to do with this?
No,
Okay,
this had
all
nothing
right.
to do, it's not like, so there was also a second piece to that, cause being able to, bond, the bonding, the folks that issue bonds have to be able to see revenues within, the county government, and so without the GRT, the bonds
Would be rated
would
lower.
be really different, yeah.
Would be a lower rated agency.
Rating, so it would just really affect the bonds. That's how come those two things were just sort of hand in hand at that time.
I mean, I guess I just am worried that, like, if Columbus Capital is asking the county for 50 million, like, do we have the money to give?
I can say, we do not have $50 million to give to anybody. If we're bonding so we can build road projects and our capital projects, we don't have $50 million to put towards anything at this point.
I just was worried about that and wondering how that would all work.
Yeah, no, two different things.
Okay, all right. Yes.
So with that being said, what is the after the application goes through, so what is, what can a small, an owner ask for? What is available? I mean, is it?
Dollar amounts?
Right, like roughly.
I mean, it's hard to answer that question because it really depends on the project. So, and again, in the conversations we have had, with various groups around MRA, the MRA is operating sort of at the margins of these projects, right? It's not the lion's share of the cost of a project, right? So it's dealing with things like offsite utilities, things like offsite pedestrian infrastructure, new sidewalks, things like that. There are funds available for facades, other sort of aesthetic aspects of projects. But again, these are sort of things at the margins of projects to maybe help get a project over the finish line. It's not sort of here to cover the majority of the costs of a project. So it's an increment on a project. It may be an increment of a very large project and a very costly project, or maybe on a much smaller project with smaller scope and smaller cost. So it fluctuates a lot depending on the project we're supporting. So it's hard to say like what the dollar amounts are that we would sort of say, we're not in a position to say, we'll give every project $500,000. It's not how this program.
Yeah, I'm just saying time versus reward and money, like, okay, cause these applications are very lengthy and they take a lot of time. And so to go through that, as a business owner, to sit there and have to go through these applications and then it's like, oh yeah, here's $10,000.
No, it would be, I think we're talking larger increments than $10,000.
Yeah, I mean, so that's why I'm just, is it worth the time?
And that's a conversation we are more than happy to have with folks prior to submitting an application, right? So if you're like, hey, I'm trying to dimension my project, I'm seeing, you know, an overall project cost of X. I think the county could help me in these 3 areas to help me bring my project cost down, which would make the project more feasible. Let's have that conversation. But that's the kind of things we're talking about, right? So it's don't expect.
There's not like a dollar amount set aside for MRA right now.
No, it's different than our Leader for Retail program, right, where we had sort of identified $400,000 to support that program, and, you know, we're working with people in the community to try to get that money out the door. This is a little different. This is more analogous to sort of our regular Leader program, where we're looking for people to come to us with asks that sort of fit the eligibility requirements in the MRA, that sort of follow the sort of guidelines we've been discussing this evening. And saying, hey, I have this project, I think the county could participate in these things. This is how much it would, you know, this is the price tag on those items, this is something the county will support. And that's kind of the dialogue we'll be having throughout the application process, into the development agreement and things like that. So, but it'll vary from project to project. And so if you wanna have sort of an initial conversation prior to going through the application process, I'm happy to talk with you as we get we are working, just to your point about the sort of, you know, difficulty or just burdensome nature of the applications, you know, I hear you. And we are doing everything we can to make it as straightforward and simple as possible, so that it's really about, the application isn't meant to be a weeding out process so much as it is making sure that we have all the information that we need, so that parts 2 and 3 of that flow chart I showed you can happen as quickly as possible. So that's the point of the application. It's not to try to sort of like weed folks out and so, yeah. So anyways.
Yeah, Marty and I own property between 15th Street and 20th Street. That's our commercial properties. And I thought today, I want to replace all the windows like 1619 into that strip. And down where Ruby K's and Sugar and Cream are at. So I was getting quotes today from glass replacement. If I want to apply for Alita or MRI in that case, which way do I?
So, so in your instance, you are actually not gonna be eligible for MRA, unfortunately. If, as Anita, if you don't mind, oh, I have it, excuse me. Let me go backwards a little bit on this. Okay. We can go back to the map.
Yeah, I know where I'm at.
Yeah, so the boundary, the MRA boundary actually just sort of, the
Yeah.
westernmost boundary is actually just right outside here. So you are west of the boundary. So unfortunately, MRA isn't an option for you guys, on that property. You know, if you wanna follow up with me, maybe tomorrow or later this week, we can talk about maybe what some other options might be for you. But unfortunately, the program we're discussing tonight, isn't gonna be available to you at that location. As we discussed, the sort of first of the eligibility requirements is being sort of within this area in orange here.
Oh, okay, I see.
Any other questions in the room or online? We'd be happy to answer them as best we can.
Somebody's in the waiting room.
Hi. So I am a resident but not a property owner of one of the apartments within the East Downtown area. Is there a long-term goal or expectations of how that funds will be utilized for the redevelopment of that region? Are you expecting, for example, that property owners will submit applications to replace existing buildings with higher density buildings or new facilities, or simply do other facility improvement work around the area?
Yeah, so the answer to that is sort of yes. You know, in areas like in here, we sort of expect some of the things you're talking about replacement of buildings with higher density, mixed use, things like that. In the area of like these apartment buildings up here, less so. I think what we're expecting, my understanding of why this area was included in the MRA was really about the area just along Central Avenue for more of the public streetscape improvements, less so about sort of replacement of existing buildings, existing housing units. And the other thing that I will note, we didn't really talk about in this, but as we're working through the handbook, one of the things that we're thinking through is this idea of disqualification of projects that result in a net loss of affordable housing units, right? And so if there was somebody coming in and saying, you know, here's some sort of naturally affordable units in here due to their size or their age, and somebody wants to come in and do some luxury condo project and we lose existing affordable housing projects, you know, one of the ideas we're working through is would that project be disqualified from receiving MRA funds from the county? So, so that's, we don't want this program to lead to displacement. We don't want this program to lead to sort of negative impacts on the community. So we're looking for ways to safeguard against that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that my main concern would be, say, tearing down buildings that are older apartments and so they have a cheaper rent currently and replacing them with something like whatever the hill that went up where it's 3 or 4 times the rent.
No, we're sent to that as well, and so we're trying to build in some safeguards to prevent that scenario from
Okay,
happening.
thank you so much.
Absolutely. Counselor?
Oh, good question.
I guess, Eli, then on that note, I mean, if 800 Trinity, if Columbus says, okay, I mean, it's a perfectly good building, it's in good condition, it's pretty much fully occupied, it has businesses, it has my business. If Columbus Capital says, well, we want whatever, 10 million because we want to demolish 800 Trinity and we want to build the luxury high density apartments and displace all those businesses. I mean, would they be disqualified? Because, I mean, that's gonna really hurt a few small businesses in that building.
You know, that's a reasonable question. It's something we haven't discussed. I think, you know, the question about the housing is sort of a outcome of questions we received, I believe it was from Councilor Righty during the plan adoption hearing, asking questions about housing and things like that. So we've been focusing on sort of housing displacement. I think, you know, it's a reasonable question to ask about, you know, business displacement. So that's something we can certainly look at. I think, you know, in terms of the evaluation process, I think projects that are really, you know, that are displacing existing businesses without providing opportunities or things like that for them to, you know, become tenants in whatever's constructed, I think, you know, that would be a factor in our evaluation process.
Well, I mean, I'm a business, I own my space, I don't wanna become a renter. I'm not interested in a Columbus lease, and I'll never do that. So if I lose my space as an owner, I'm not gonna, you know, that would be incredibly unfair. And, you know, for me to lose my place of business to become, I mean, I don't wanna be a renter from Columbus, right? That's what I'm saying. And for them to use public funds to do that seems incredibly inappropriate too. So, I mean, I guess the thing that I don't understand too is you're saying there's no dollar amount to this MRA funds, but we know that Columbus Capital has presented numbers to the county. They presented 30 million, they presented 50 million. They're presenting numbers to the county of this is how much money we need to do our Merrimack redevelopment. These are the MRA and LEDA funds we want. We know they've already done that. Yet you're saying there's no dollar amount, so that I don't understand that either. Like you're saying there's no dollar amount.
As Juan mentioned a second ago, there is a ceiling, right?
Is there though, but what is that
There is a
ceiling?
ceiling, I mean, it's, the ceiling is commensurate with the county's funding, right? And as Juan just said, we don't have $50 million to aid private development.
I mean, is
Right,
it
so
20
what
million or is it?
I don't have a number on that.
It'd be good
but I
to
think-
know what
sure,
the number
but I think
is.
My comment about there's no dollar amount, it's that there's no like sort of specific amount that can be requested. There's no minimum, there's no maximum in the sense of, you know, like, you know, it's really based off of a proportion of the size of each project. Now, if a project comes in asking for hundreds of millions of dollars, that's sort of a non-starter, right? Because it just won't get very far in the county process because the county doesn't have that funding available. It's 150, whatever it is, right? And so we, there's certain projects that we just won't be able to support because we don't have the fiscal means to support, right? And that's just the reality of the situation. So there may be very well, maybe proposals that come into the county that we just say no to just based off the magnitude of the ask, right? We're not an unlimited, we don't have unlimited resources at the county. And so there's just projects that are beyond our ability to participate at the level that may be requested. Now, on a project like that, let's use a hypothetical project that's asking for money way beyond our ability to meet the request. There may be other things that we could do and, you know, at a much smaller dollar amount, and that may or may not be enough for the developer to say, I can move forward with this project. But those are the types of conversations we'll be having, especially on larger projects like Merrimack and things like that. Smaller projects, you know, I think the conversation is gonna be a little different. And that's why we're sort of, you know, in the comment we had on the slide was that each one of these has to really be evaluated on a case by case. David, you had a question?
Yeah, aren't most of the funding mechanisms, like for a Columbus Capital type development, tax increment funding or tax abatement and not direct funding?
So the county, so the tax abatement aspect of MRA is a little nuanced, and I don't wanna get into too much detail with this, but it's really only for county-owned property. So we can, and then we can work with a private entity through lease and other mechanisms to sort of extend our tax exempt status to that project. We are not, the county, we've been sort of intentional in leaving that language out of our presentations and our discussion, because we don't feel like that's something that's an aspect of MRA that we don't intend to participate in. So the tax abatement, no. TIFs and TIDs are an aspect of MRA. We're not currently, you know, considering TIFs or TIDs in either MRA area. But, you know, again, as projects present themselves, that may be something we have to reevaluate. But at this time, neither TIFs nor TIDs are something that we're considering. Yes, sir.
Yeah, on the development of, Merrimack, the last presentation I heard that, building 800 and 820 were not gonna be affected by the redevelopment.
So that's I mean, I'm coming into this a little late, but my understanding is that sort of, you know, the primary focus, or the initial focus, I should say, of the Columbus project would be sort of this building that currently houses the DMV, as well as the sort of Merrimack building that I believe is completely vacant at this time, and into this sort of parking lot. So it's more focused on this area. And you're correct. The last I saw, both this building and this building were both not going to be redeveloped.
Clarifying question I guess I have too, is you have to own the property to be able to go through the MRA?
Correct.
Okay, so like in this case, if you own your piece within the building, then I don't think that building would be eligible.
There are several
pieces.
Are you?
Is that?
I think I think when we're trying to get into, I think that's a safe assumption. I think, you know, the reason why, you know, this building and this building, Columbus Capital owns 100% of those buildings, and so I think that's an area where they can sort of move more. Yes, Jacqueline?
Are you guys adding that to your handbook? Or, because there are MRAs that have given funds to business owners, not the property owner, in very select circumstances, but have done so.
I think again, I think there are instances where we would give funds to a business owner instead of a property owner. But I think those instances would be pretty few and far between. I mean, I think that the idea of putting large capital expenditure into your property is not something that's typically done by a tenant, right? It's mostly done by a property owner. And so there may be some like around facade improvements and some other things, there may be instances where a business owner wants to take that project on and wants some support from the town. But generally speaking, in most cases, and the sort of scenario that we're designing this program for, it's really working with property owners.
I mean, I think the only circumstances I've seen it in was signage and actually booths, like interior furniture. And the property owner was aware and was fine with it, but was not involved in the renovation project at all. And so they kind of signed off on it. And then it was, and it was a proven business. I mean, they'd already been in existence.
And I would wonder if somebody came in with a project like this sort of interior furniture sort of thing, I would want to see if maybe Lita Retail was a better fit for that project or something like that. Might just be a cleaner fit. now that we have that program. So it's sort of a case by case thing.
Also, Jacqueline, I think the point that Eli was making was that Mary Mac, Columbus Capital can't come in and demolish Lisa's space.
Sure.
She owns that, so they can't, regardless of a fund, if they can't request a fund to demolish someone else's space, that's illegal land use. So without her selling, is what Eli was making the point of, they can't come in and do something to a building that she owns a space.
Sure, no, I'm not, I was obviously not contradicting that,
Yeah,
more just,
that
I
was-
know
that was
other people that might have had questions about that.
Yeah.
Some of those comments made, so.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. I just, we just see this, and I think sort of how it's played out in other communities really sort of bears out that this program is really better suited to owners than tenants. But you never know. There's always, again, there's situations you can't anticipate, and it's something we may consider.
Yes, quick question. So my project I feel might evolve, down the years or whatnot, so like if I do apply for MRA and say, okay, I get such and such for this project, I mean, are business owners able to reapply depending on, different things, or is it kind of just all at once, you could only
No, I mean,
do it all at once?
So I think, the answer to so many questions that come up in sort of land use in general is really, it depends, right? And so you have to think about what are the eligible activities, what are the types of things the county's looking to support? Would you see additional, say, infrastructure expansion? Would you see additional, certain things as you proceed through your project? If the answer is yes, then the answer to can I take multiple bites of the MRA apple is probably yes as well. But it really depends on how that project evolves over time, and if that evolution includes, things that the county can participate in. It's really what it comes down to. Does that make sense? All right, any other questions in the room or online? Sorry, we're gonna flip over to the participant view and see if anybody has their hand up. Right. Well, not seeing any other questions online or in the room, I think we'll wrap things up a little early. Again, I really appreciate everybody coming out this evening. I just wanna stress, reiterate, just our availability to answer any questions as they come up. This isn't your one chance to answer questions, by any means. If you have any thoughts, even after we release the handbook, as we are sort of experiencing with our LEADA for Retail program, we are very open to sort of amending that to provide more clarity, or remove any maybe ambiguity, things like that. So, we'll definitely be iterating on that document as well. So after it goes out, if you have anything you see that you may want some additional clarification on, or think it may be better to present this way versus that way, we're open to that feedback and we'll welcome it. So anyways, thanks everybody for coming out this evening. And we hope to hear from all of you soon. Thanks so much.
I know, my neighbors.
Thanks for coming, see you later.
View forward, that's county.
Congratulations.
That's what I'm hearing.
Thanks so much.
Okay, so it's not even.
Joe, I've heard your name before, so nice to meet you in person.
Be council.
No, always in a good way, but we just, talking about the area
You
and.
need to vote for me.
Portion of the building over there.
Make sure you got over the top. Thanks for coming.
Before, okay.
Yeah, right now I'm planning to get
Thanks for coming, good to see